Thought I took that down. Oh boy, some days you click all the right buttons, some days you don't. There you go. That's the right button. Greetings and welcome. This is the New Thought Media Network. I'm Ken Ludwig, and you are watching the Vibrant Living Hour. Hope this day finds you safe, healthy, and happy, and living your best life. Whatever it is you're doing, wherever you're doing it, that you're just enjoying the doing. You're enjoying the being, enjoying that you are here. Grateful for everything you have, grateful for everything you're doing, and everything that's on your path. So I'm having a grateful day. I'm having a very grateful day. I've got a new program working in one of my businesses that's off the charts, and it's got me moving in a just a really positive direction on something that's unique and different and one of a kind in the industry that's in. And I'm excited, and I feel really enlivened and invigorated. And it kind of brought me to the subject that I posted for today's show, which is, what are you afraid of? Because I know I'm afraid of a lot of things, not all of which I'm readily admitting at any given moment, but we're all afraid of something. We're all afraid of things. We're afraid of people. We're afraid of creatures. We're afraid of the dark. We're afraid of heights. We're afraid of illness. We're afraid of all kinds of different. They're afraid of poverty. Afraid of success. We all have our little bugaboos, things that we are afraid of. And I had this one kind of, I don't know how to describe it really. You have a thing in my business, in the world of network marketing, we have a thing called chicken list. Chicken list is people you're afraid to call. And sometimes you have great products, you have a great opportunity, you have great things for people to look at least, and to try on for size, or to evaluate at one level or another. And in some cases, like in the case of my CBD products, you almost feel like you're obligated to tell people about them. But in the flip side of that is, sometimes you're worried about, what are they going to think? What are they going to say? Who's going to judge me? They're going to think, oh, here he is peddling stuff again. Whatever negative thoughts there are. And those get little by little embedded in my own head, maybe your head as well. And you find yourself stymied, afraid to move forward, afraid to take that next step because you're afraid of all those things. So yesterday we had this new program. This new program appeared, and you know what? And I'll tell you a little bit. It's a first of its kind discount program in the travel space, beating all of the well-known names, Priceline and the other Expedia and whoever else still exists out there, because I know there's been some condensation in that space, but beating their prices with just a phenomenal opportunity, with no membership and no upfront costs involved unless you want to travel, and you get these incredible savings. And it's an extraordinary opportunity for anybody who travels or is planning to travel or would like to travel. Extraordinary opportunity to save a bucket load of money on travel. And we all know, if you look, travel's pretty damn expensive. So I have this great opportunity, and it's brand spanking new. There's nothing like it in the travel space whatsoever. And all of a sudden I did something I've not done very often. I've not been very good at in my industry. You're always making lists of people to call. And I actually made a list. And there's probably, 35, 40 people on that list. And it was kind of a stream of consciousness. I didn't spend any time making the list. Just as people came to mind, I put them down on the list. And some of those people were part of the chicken list. Some of those people were people like, wow, I can't call this person. They're just like so far above me, and they're very successful in what they do, and they're not going to be interested in something else. And it occurred to me that what I'm not looking to recruit them. I'm looking for customers. So the number one person on my chicken list is someone I've known for a good many years. We share some commonality. We both share sobriety, but almost the exact same time. I'm sober 34 and a half years. He's sober 34 years. And that's 6 months difference in our sobriety. I'm also 6 months older than him. So we pretty much we both stopped at the same time, stopped drinking at the same time. And And he's in the network marketing space. He's humongously successful, set for life, basically, with what he does. And he was at the top of my list, and also number one on the chicken list. And I just said, you know what? Why don't I just call him first? And I called him first. And of course, he didn't answer the phone. I left him a voicemail. And I was like, wow, that was really cool. And then I did a couple of three more before the day was over. The day was almost over when I started. This morning I got up and I did my meditation, and I did my, by the way, I can see you're out there, folks. If you're out there and you're watching the show, please make a comment. Let me know you're out there. Let me know you're watching. Ask a question. Tell me something you want to talk about. Tell me about your fears. What are they, and how can we address them? But anyway, this fear that I'm talking about is my fear of rejection more than anything else. So this morning I did my meditation, and I decided I've really had kind of a cold for the last 4 days or so, and before that was 3 days of nasty weather as the leftovers of Ian from the hurricane passing through, and then a couple of days of rainy, cold weather afterwards. And so I really haven't done anything in the exercise realm in like a week. And not feeling well didn't help anything. So this morning I still am not 100%, but I just got up and I did my 2-mile walk this morning, and I wasn't 5 minutes into my walk, and the phone rings, and it's this person that I was afraid to call yesterday, calling me back first thing this morning, and actually calling me from the Mountain Time Zone. I'm now in the Eastern Time Zone, so this guy was calling me 2 hours earlier. Is probably, I think it was probably like 9 o'clock his time, maybe even 8:30 actually his time. And he called me, and again, I can see you folks are out there. If you have to ask a question, tell me your fears, tell me what you'd like to talk about today. Just say hi, one or the other, anything. But we talked, and we talked about the opportunity I had to show him. And he had, of course, was well aware of my opportunity and had heard from a half a dozen big leaders in the business already about it, but said to me that if he could help me, if what I wanted to do with him would help me, to please go ahead and do it. And it really resonated with me to the core of my very being, that I overcame this fear. And that fear turned out to be about as unfounded as it could possibly be, because this person I was afraid to make contact with not only was grateful to hear from me, had incredibly wonderful, nice things to say to me, told me that he loved me. Not only that, but he was also more than willing to help me in any way that he possibly could. And I'm just thinking, wow, that's kind of amazing. And how does it relate to my other fears, the other fears that we all have? How many of our fears are based in things that are really, the old definition of fear, right? The old acronym, false evidence appearing real. Where we think we know what's happening. We think we know that that this is something to be wary of, to be afraid of, to be fearful of. And in the end, it really isn't that. It really is just part of life, and it's really our ego that is having its way with us as far as whether or not it wants to do this, or it's fear of being rejected or judged or insulted or whatever. How many of my fears are that? And I have some interesting fears. I mean, and I'll be vulnerable about them. I'm a little afraid of heights. I get past a certain point, which is probably about a story and a half. If I'm outside, if I'm on a ladder and stuff, I get past a story and a half. I get past about 15 feet, and my fear of heights starts to kick in. I don't. I can remember years ago going to visit Mesa Verde, and we were looking at some of the cliff dwellings on the wall in a canyon opposite us, and where we were was like just dropped off, just straight down, almost straight down. And I walked to the edge, but only about 3 feet away, and then inched up with my left foot and looked over the end, because I didn't want to get too close because I'm afraid of heights. I remember once years ago a friend of mine had to go to, we were on Long Island, and a friend of mine had to go to court in Pennsylvania, and I volunteered to go with him. And we we started out, and that particular day, the part of the union that mans the bridges on the highway system through Long Island and onto Manhattan and so forth, those guys went on strike. And there was a drawbridge we had to cross over, I believe, on the Belt Parkway going across the southern part of Brooklyn, and they raised the bridge and they left it there. And we stopped, and we were behind kind of a hill between us and the bridge, so we couldn't see that. And we sat for quite some time before people started getting out of their cars and walking up to look. And we got out and walked up to look, and there was the bridge straight up in the air. Well, when the bridge goes up, there's a space between the bottom of the bridge and where the roadway was. So it was here, and it kind of moves away as it goes up. And we walked to the edge of that. It was probably 100 feet or more down to the water. And I was petrified. I was scared to death. Now, I don't know where that fear of heights came from. I think it's, when they say that one of the initial fears that we have when we are born is the fear of falling. And I know that that's something that, you ever have those dreams where you feel like you're falling and you jump because you've actually fallen in your dream. I think that's left over from then. But that's a fear that I have. I don't know how founded or unfounded that fear is. I don't know that I've never really truly in my whole life ever just stood someplace and lost my balance. So, well, at least since I got sober in 1988. But so I don't know why I would think that, anything would happen with my balance, or, I looked over the edge and would fall. I don't know what that's about. I have a horrible fear of sharks. That stems directly from Jaws. I saw Jaws when it first came out in 1974 or early 75. It was before I left New York for Colorado. I had been a surfer. I had been in the ocean my whole life, been in the bay my whole life on boats. We lived right by the water, and everybody I knew had boats. We had boats, and we, like I said, we surfed. We were in the water all the time. We body surfed. I saw Jaws. It took me 25 years to get back in the ocean. And when I got back in the ocean, I was petrified. To this day, I will, if I'm by the ocean, if I'm like going to Mexico or going to Hawaii, I'll dive in the ocean and then just turn around and get right back out again, because I'm just kind of unnerved by that. Now the chances of being attacked by a shark are, I believe, less than being struck by lightning. But, and really right now, the 2022 here, we got a whole rash of shark attacks that are kind of in higher numbers than we've ever seen before. And that just serves to reinforce my fear, even though it's still a minuscule possibility that you're ever going to have that happen. I'm afraid of snakes of all kinds. And I've seen one rattlesnake in my entire life in Colorado. I saw a Western diamondback rattler on a trail up in the mountains. And it was probably, I don't know, it was a pretty good sized snake, maybe 4 or 5 feet long. And it was coiled up in the middle of a pathway, and I was on my way. My wife and I were picnicking, and a young couple had told me that be careful, there's a rattler in the middle of the pathway. And I walked up towards it, and I had one of these coolers on wheels, and I was going to get maneuver the cooler between me and the snake and go past it. Well, I got close enough to that snake, and he started to rattle. I was like, "See ya," and I turned around and went around. Now I moved to North Carolina. In North Carolina, Colorado only has the one poisonous snake, the rattlesnake, the Western diamondback. North Carolina has 6 poisonous snakes. They have the copperhead and the cottonmouth, or the water moccasin, and then they have 4 different kinds of rattlesnakes. They have the largest rattlesnake, the timber rattler, and they have the smallest rattlesnake, the pygmy rattler. But it doesn't matter what size the snake is, I'm scared of all of them. Now, why? I have no idea. I can remember once moving, just getting some firewood out in the backyard in Colorado to bring into the house. And as I was loading the wood up, about a 4-foot garden snake, biggest garden snake I've ever seen, he came whizzing out of the back of the wood pile, scared the bejesus out of me. Now, they couldn't be more harmless. And then once walking a trail, I saw a very, very large, like a 6-foot bull snake, Bull snakes are also quite harmless. In fact, they eat rattlesnakes. But one of the things they do is um, they imitate the rattlesnake. When you come near them, they lift their tail and they lift their head and they hiss at you in such a way that sounds like the rattle. He scared the hell out of me, that bull snake. But I haven't seen that many snakes, but I'm absolutely petrified of snakes. What are the sources of those fears? I have no idea. Are they rational? I don't have any idea about that either. But they are fears, and they're real for me. And that's things I can see. Those are things that I can actually, even though I don't want to, I can reach out and touch. I can touch that fear of heights. That's a physical thing. But the other fears, the fears of rejection and the fears of being judged, those are all in my mind. Those are all in my head. There is nothing to back them up. And I go back to my experience of last night and today, where this old friend of mine who I was afraid to call absolutely made me feel about as at ease as I possibly could. And now I have now reached out to another 20 people. And in reaching out to those people, it's daytime. I haven't got a lot of responses yet. But the people who responded have all been very loving and kind. And what are you up to? And what are you doing? And how can I help? And that kind of thing. And it just goes to reinforce the idea that the fears are unfounded. Fears are an ego thing. They're a defense mechanism. They're really all about what the ego is trying to avoid. The ego doesn't want to be judged, obviously. The ego doesn't want to be rejected. The ego always wants to be accepted. It wants to fit in. And if you're an entrepreneur and if you're in business, you don't necessarily fit in. You're doing something different and unique in the world. Let me have a swig. So what are your fears? What are your fears out there? And if you're not with me today, if you're not watching the show, if you catch me in the archives or in a recording, please send me an email. Let's put it up here. You can send me an email at, where is it? Somebody moved my cheese. You can send me an email at teamrockitnow@gmail.com. Send me an email there and tell me what your fears are. And how can I help you? What can we do to allay those fears, to make them something different, to make them something you're not experiencing? It's really an interesting thought. So it's a pretty short show today. That's really all I've got for you. I'm sorry if that's not enough, but that's all I got. I want you to always remember that the sponsor of my show is HempWorks, makers of the finest, purest, most potent CBD products on the planet. 3 different strengths in 2 different formulations: the broad spectrum THC free, the full spectrum with the legal limit of 0.3% or less of THC, in 7 different flavors and 500, 750, and 1500 milligram strengths. Also, the largest collection of CBD and hemp infused products you're going to find from any company anywhere. Remember, please, that the New Thought Media Network is a nonprofit organization. We thrive by virtue of your donations. Go to ntmedia.org and click on donate. And we'll be thrilled to have whatever it is you are deigned to give us. We'll be more than happy with that. If you want to reach me on Instagram, you can find me on evolving_hippie. On Instagram, on Facebook, you can find my beloved Lisa and I at That's Not It. You can find us at our branded Facebook page, Vibrant Aging. Vibrant Aging, of course, goes right along with Vibrant Living. And if you know anyone who is someone who could really be a great guest on this show, someone who's living their best life and you think they would love to have them tell the world how they're living their best life, I would love to have them on the show. I would love to interview them. That would be my great joy and a great gift to the audience. So that's it. As always, I am immensely grateful for the great gift of your time and your attention. I wish you all the love and all the blessings the universe has to offer. I hope you will join me next Thursday and every Thursday. And until the next time, namaste.